Okay, well, let's see if this is working. Hello, my sweet Lily. If you can hear me, say carrot. I'm a little concerned about the lag. I'm a little concerned about my internet. I'm a little concerned about this mic because we're just having some issues, but that's okay. It's going to be great. We're going to learn all sorts of stuff. But when you can confirm that you can hear me properly and it's not like loud and crazy, or let me know the vibes. Carrot. Perfect. Excellent. Okay. Cool. Okay, well, I'm just going to get cracking then. Welcome to Office Hours with Amber. I'm Amber. This is Office Hours. Essentially how this will work, on the screen, you'll be able to see a little bit of the agenda, so you have a kind of vibe of where we're going with this. I hate when you get on a live stream and you're sitting there like, okay, what are we doing? Are we just hanging out? Well, we're going to hang out. We're going to learn some stuff. The bubbly sounds, I'm also annoyed about. I have no idea how to fix that. Might be a next week problem. We listen, we don't judge. Yeah, so the audio quality, we went from like a 2000 karaoke mic to the tiny mics, and I think there's like static electricity in the air. Who could be sure? None of my issue, but just know that I'm equally annoyed about it. Okay, so first things first, going to kind of go over the structure of Office Hours with Amber, how we even got here, because I feel like getting to know how we got here is going to help us to get to know where we're going, which is exciting. Okay, so originally my background is in industrial engineering, and so I have a deep love of like data, analytics, continuous improvement. And so after I graduated, I ended up working at Anheuser-Busch for feels like forever. At Anheuser-Busch, I worked in plenty of supply chain roles, interacted with a lot of data, and that's when I really got interested and fell in love with the Microsoft Office. So when I was there, I created a kind of internal tech seminar called Office Hours with Amber, where I taught my coworkers just a little bit of something about Microsoft Office, whether it was PowerPoint or Excel or Outlook, whatever. So once I left there, about a year and a half ago, to start fractional engineering, kind of solo dolo, that is when I started kind of resurging the monthly try new things challenge. Crazy concept. Each month you try something new. Because what I realized at that time is that I was, I don't know, 28 and had no hobbies. Crazy. Nor skills other than Excel and breathing. So, ipso facto, I set myself out 12 goals for the year. Each month they either went super duper great or not so much. That's okay. But I digress. A radical step to the left, in 2023, I ended up going to the Microsoft Excel World Championship conference in Vegas, and I was extremely dazzled by all of the tech skills that all the people in the room had and how nice everyone was. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to go home and I'm going to train and I'm going to study and I'm going to know all of this stuff by next year. They're going to be so impressed. Nobody's going to be impressed. But like, I thought I was just going to somehow learn all that stuff, which I learned a few things, but I ended up going to the conference again this year. And hey, Liana, thank you so much for coming. I ended up going this year and realizing that through osmosis, I had learned nothing in the last year and that I am completely falling behind in terms of my tech skills. I would say I'm like a pretty sustainably average Excel user. I would say actually statistically average in comparison to how I ranked up in all of the competition. So I think there's no one better fit to be the master of the middle, basically appealing to the noobs while also chit-chatting with the pros. And so that's where Office Hours with Amber comes in. So I left the 2024 conference feeling so full of wonder and joy, but also so driven by purpose. I was like, this is my time to recapture and become the Excel user that I want to be. So essentially, that is where the resurgence of Office Hours with Amber in the current state comes from. So essentially, I'm trying to systematize this, make a system of learning for myself, because any daily actions ain't gonna happen. The ADHD just cannot be bothered. However, if I create kind of a weekly system where something is different each week, might have a chance of working. So essentially, I broke my year down into 12 individual goals. I will be posting my goals somewhere later in the Discord. They are posted. So just saying, join the Discord. So basically, I broke down my year into 12 individual goals. Each month, I specifically have 4 individual weeks, 1 hour each week, which is this live stream that you're watching now. Each week will be a different subset of learning. So week 1, I'll be doing kind of self-guided research. So YouTube, ChatGPT, a little bit of Googling, and trying to just learn the basics and mechanics of whatever I'm trying to learn. This month is dynamic arrays. Week 2 is going to be applying it to a real life problem. So I already have kind of some ideas of what I want to do with dynamic arrays with this pricing sheet I'm doing next week, but I digress. That's for next week, Amber. Week 3, I want to rope in someone who's more professional than I am, or an actual Microsoft MVP, because I think they're brilliant people and so much fun to talk to, and get iterative feedback from what they like. I'll show them kind of show and tell, like bring them the dead cat that will be my Excel, project, and then they will come. Oh my gosh, my sweet Barbara, thank you so much for coming. I'll bring them the dead cat that is my Excel project, and they're going to roast me alive, and then I'm going to learn something, and it's going to be really good. Week 4 is what I'm most excited about, is bring the community together to talk about all the goals that we've come up with for the year, and then talk about our monthly kind of learning, insight, reflections, pros and woes, the whole thing. And so the nice thing is I've already gotten 14 submissions, which I think 6 of them are in the chat right now. 14 submissions to the Office Hours with Amber kind of community page, which is really exciting because you get a template that you can use as an iPhone background. You can print it out. You can, post it on your wall. You can do whatever you want with it, but it's exciting. And I think the community is really what's gets me excited about the whole thing. Because if I just did this by myself without the live stream, I think I'd get a little bored and then I wouldn't do it. So y'all are keeping me accountable to be here and to do this. So essentially, I think that's all the little notes I had. At the end, I'll do a little bit of housekeeping and post some links to the Discord and where to go and everything. But for now, I think it's time to start Googling. Actually, we're going to reset. We're going to reset the brain, because I think the first thing in learning anything is you kind of got to be in a good mind state for it. And I don't know about you guys, but today was way too stimulating. Like, I think for a Monday, this was like the triple, quadruple Monday that I was not expecting. So we are going to medicate and dedicate. I've got my medication and nothing to drink. Oh, that's too bad. I think there's water in here. That's really too bad. We're dry scooping it. Anyways. Oh, that was way worse. I don't know if you've ever tried to take a pill dry before, but I think I might die. Nope, we're not doing it. That was the worst thing I've ever done. Okay, anyways. Medicate yourself. If that is, what you do. But my special brand of ADHD loves a little bit of Ritalin. So Rita Linda is here to party. We've also got the vibe lighting, very important, because I feel like I'm a moth to a flame. So if all of my lights kind of point in the direction of where I'm trying to go, I don't know what kind of science that is, but I'm excited. We've got the crisscross chair. We've got Puppy Banjo back there. I think we're ready. I think we're ready. And then I'm going to set a timer. You put me on your TV. Oh, that's the nicest thing. Okay, yes, taking a Ritalin at 6:09 is a wild thing to do. But the night is young. I got a lot of projects to do. Okay, setting this for 50 minutes. Oh my God, I'm on time, guys. It's 7:09 and I'm on time. Okay, 50 minutes of dynamic arrays. Let's get excited. Okay, my personal process. Let's see if I've got this. Okay, can we see screens? Do the screens look good? Let me know in the chat if you can see things properly. Essentially, how I start any new thing I want to learn lately is I ask ChatGPT a bunch of questions. And I like to preliminarily start with kind of a to-do list of what I'd like to get done. So preliminarily, I know dynamic arrays exist. So thank you, Lily. Dynamic arrays exist, and I normally stumble upon them on accident. Want to be intentional. So to do, first thing is I want a full list of all the dynamic arrays so I can kind of pick and choose which ones I want to dive into. Because saying dynamic arrays is kind of like saying logical functions. It's like if statements. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of different things that could mean. Make list of all dynamic arrays. And I think you can kind of, there's like dynamic references. I don't know. We're listing out what we think we know. Make a list. Prioritize like 3. Try it. Okay. Anyways, I like to make a kind of preliminary goals. We're gonna go for it. So ChatGPT usually gives me like a firm baseline of vibes, and it gives me like kind of all-encompassing. And then as I have more specific questions, it's pretty good. So it didn't know that pivot by was a function though. All I'm saying is you can't trust it always, which it was like 3 a.m. working, and I was like, okay, I want this pivot by to do this thing, which is a little out of my coverage, but then it was like, that doesn't exist. I'm like, whoa, but I don't think you're right here. All right, let's see what she's got. Oh, it's going to give me a lot of information. So a lot of dynamic array functions also are layered. So having like a filter on a unique sorted like, it's when you combine them all together is where I kind of lose track of the plot. Oh, goodness. Okay, we're going to copy that into Excel. Didn't know XLOOKUP was a dynamic array function. Okay, I've pre-pulled up some YouTube videos about dynamic arrays. Oh, separately. There's going to be free resources that I'm going to be using, and there's also going to be a few like premium resources. So I've been enjoying Full Stack Modeler a lot. So that I think is a premium resource, but which is kind of a nice like grounding place to be able to say, like, I think Giles does a good job of like kind of saying, here's what's going on here, and then I can jump off of that, which there's a lot of YouTube videos could do the same, but I feel like a lot of the time the YouTube videos are very niche and like, here's this crazy way that dynamic arrays are going to change your life. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but oh, of course he just gives us the workbook. Okay. La 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 la. Oh, okay. So, good news, you can't see it yet, but there is, let me see if I can swap it over to the book. I can't. Okay, anyways, in Full Stack Modeler, he gave a pretty good like training workbook, which is nice. I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to go watch some videos because I feel like we're missing some plot details. Ooh, Layla. Okay, we're going to start with Layla. Okay, vibe so far. Separate thing. I turned the desktop audio back on. So as the video's playing, if you can't hear her or she's too loud, y'all let me know. I'm going to start watching.
Let me explain. If you learn how to work with super advanced formulas like Control-Shift-Enter formulas, array formulas, like this one or this one, you're going to be titled the formula expert in your company. Now let's be honest, not many people like to spend time to write this from scratch or even bother to look for a file that included this formula. Well, it's time consuming. But here's the problem. They need it for their work. That's why these two videos are popular videos on my channel, even though they include these crazy formulas. But after this event, it's Microsoft Ignite 2018, everything changed. Dynamic arrays were introduced. Now here's the thing. This isn't just a bunch of new formulas that were added to Excel. This is a change in Excel's calculation engine. It makes everything.
Also, I'm wicked impatient, so we're playing at 2x speed until I find something that I actually want to listen to. Sorry.
Just to give you some context, here I have a list for division. You can see the names are
separately. I almost wish that the live stream you could play me at 2 times speed, because I know it takes me gosh darn forever to get to the point, so I apologize in advance.
Not grouped together, they're scattered, and in front of it I have the app that belongs to the division. Now what I did was to first create a unique...
I think we're getting a little specific. Dynamic arrays 101. This guy looks trustworthy. Hi Matt, thank you so much for coming.
Workflow.
Hello and welcome to Dynamic Array Formulas. My name's Jeff. I'm glad you're here. Let's just jump right in. A dynamic array.
Jesus Christ. Okay, that guy cannot be played at 2x speed. Maybe like let's hit him with a 1.25.
Formula basically is one formula that you write in one cell, but it returns multiple results. And those results spill out into the adjacent cells. The easiest way to demonstrate is just to turn right to Excel. Exercise 1. All right, we're just going to get started with this warm-up exercise. Equals. All right, this curly brace means we're going to start
Good night,
an array.
Harry.
So
Thank you so much for stopping in.
And then close the curly brace. And I'm going to hit enter. And
unless you're staying up to party, then by all means. But I know you have created some crazy Excel stuff, so all I know is this is very much below your pay grade times 100. But hey, if you're here for the vibes, stick around.
And what you're going to see is this single formula returned multiple results. And these results spilled into the rows because I'm using this semicolon. All right, so what if I wanted them to spill into columns instead? No worries, equals curly brace 1, 2, 3 separated by commas, and that's going to spill into columns. We can also...
I have mild fears that the way I'm Googling this is going to be like the old school, like Control-Shift-Enter dynamic arrays, not like modern. This is from a year ago. Okay, I have hope. I have hope.
Combine rows and columns.
Also, as I'm watching the videos, if you guys recognize these people or have met them before, drop it in the chat, give me the vibes, because I feel like every person I've met that makes videos for Excel is wicked amazing. So let me know the T.
So equals, I could do 1 and then a comma, a 2, and then a semicolon, 3, 4, semicolon, 5, 6. Close the curly brace and enter. All right, this is just a warm-up, and it's designed to show that when you have an array that's returned by a formula, it can spill into rows and or columns. All right, now that you're warmed up, let's get to the next exercise. Exercise 2. Now, there are many functions that return multiple results. These are called dynamic array functions. The first one that I want to cover is called the sequence function, equals sequence. And what we can do is say how many rows do we want to return?
Harry, for being
we want to
here.
return 3, enter. We could also say how many columns do we want? 3, enter. And now this result spills into multiple rows and columns. We could also say we want only 1 row and 3 columns. That's fine. If we want 3 and 3, we can do that, and that's fine. Now, there's some other arguments like what's the starting value? So I could say let's start this whole sequence at 100. That's fine. And then we can also say what is the step value? Like what's the increment value? By default, it's 1. We could say increment it by tens, and that's what we get. Okay, so as you can see, the sequence function takes a couple of arguments and then returns multiple results. And those results could spill into multiple columns or rows or both. Let's get to the next exercise. Exercise 3. Another dynamic array function is unique, and another one is sort, and we'll see how to combine both of these. Let's say we have a list of items, and there might be some duplicates in them. Maybe this is a big list of transactions or something we've exported from some system. And what we'd like to do is get a list of the unique values, but we don't want to delete our original range. Well, for this, we could use an array formula that uses a dynamic array function like unique equals unique. And we just point it to the range, close the function, and enter. And now we can see this formula returns many results, and those results spill out into many cells. So can I like type something here? No. If I try to type something there, it's going to break the spill range. So that range has to be free and clear of any other values. Okay, and now what if I wanted this list sorted in ascending order? No problem. We can
Side note, I think someone at the conference ended up mentioning that referencing a dynamic array with this little like hashtag sign, groundbreaking. That's all.
wrap the sort function around this unique function. So now the unique function is going to do its thing. It's going to grab a unique list of values found in the item column, and it's going to return that list to the sort function. The sort function is then going to do its thing, and it's going to return that list sorted. Enter. Got it. So I hope these basic concepts are a nice overview or warm-up for dynamic array formulas. Believe me, there are many more applications and many additional functions. So if these seem like they're going to be helpful, definitely dig in and check out some additional details. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day. Hey, Excel user. If you ever need to create summary reports, check out my pivot table for beginners video.
Okay, love him so much. He talks so fast, which I love. Honestly, with the 101 videos, that's probably pretty critical. Ooh. I love the Unpivot podcast, so I love listening to Win. Oh god. Can't mute fast enough. But listening to Win he's hilarious. I'm honestly such a fangirl for all Excel creators, but don't tell them that. There we go.
Excel dynamic arrays. And if you're using lookup tables in your Excel reports, then there's a couple of little tricks you might be really interested in. I'll show you.
I think we're safe to go 2x on him. Oh my god.
So let me show you this scenario and talk you through what I'm going to do. Here's my data source, brought in by Power Query, of course, pulled in from another file, some daily data. And we've got a role and we've got work order. And I've got some extra information. I've got a rate I want to look up, assigned to that role, and I've got a work order number and who the manager is. And those two facts are on another table, on this little lookup table. Okay, so we've got the roles, etc. So let's just start building my little solution. And you need to take these things a little bit further to future-proof them and to make your life and anybody who takes over your report, to make their life a bit easier. And before anybody writes in saying, hey, you can use relationships and merges for all this sort of stuff. Yeah, but it depends on the scenario. Okay, it really depends on the scenario. I've been doing an example like this in real life recently, and honestly, this was the best approach.
Ooh, side note, Jack, if you're still in the chat, I feel like there was like a OA robot that was like a random data maker. There was something to create random data. If that lives somewhere, or if I can recreate that somehow, let me know.
Okay, so firstly I want to look up the rate. And whenever I'm doing this, if I'm adding a column to my Power Query table, so this table is coming in from Power Query, let me just prove that to you by deleting that, right click and refreshing. Okay, it is a Power Query table. I always make these little extra columns a different color, like gray, okay, and control spacebar to highlight a column, or you can hover the mouse over the top. Okay, if you don't know about tables, check out my video on that.
Matt, thank you so much. However, my frames per second is like 20. We're not going to talk about it. We're here for the vibes.
Right, so there's our rate. We're going to do it XLOOKUP equals, okay, XLOOKUP. I want to look up the role, comma, in this table here, comma, and bring back the pay. So that one there. Okay, nice and easy, enter. Beautiful. Okay, but what happens if there's a new role? Let's say we just call this new. We get the old NA. But XLOOKUP's got a built-in if error. But what I tend to do is this, okay? I put whatever the word I want to show up at the top here. And then in my XLOOKUP, and let me make this lighter because that's too dark. I don't like that. Right, that's much better. Okay, so in the XLOOKUP, at the end, you put a comma, and if not found, you click on this, and you must $sign.
Thank you, Jack.
Press the F4 key to lock the reference to that cell. Close the bracket, press enter, and you've now got missing. And if I have another new one down here, and something else down here when the data refreshed, they'd all get flagged up. That could be a really big list. This could be a 5,000 row table. Okay, you're not going to scroll up and down. So I want a nice little alert. So I do a COUNTIF, okay, or my little shortcut. There's a little video on how I use autocorrect a lot. I do this MMM for missing space. I've got autocorrect built in to build my little formula for me.
Is XLOOKUP a dynamic array function, though? Am I silly? Yeah, I guess it is. Search is it? I don't know, I guess I'm just very naively think that anything that spills is a dynamic array function. But I'm wrong. I'm gonna keep researching.
So you can do those sorts of things, but let me write it anyway. So equals COUNTIF, okay, click on the cell, Control spacebar, or as you saw before, you can click with a little mouse by hovering over it, highlight the whole column. Okay, count that equal to missing. Press enter, there's 3 of them. And I want to format that as red. So on my Access Analytic toolbar, again, this is free, you can download it, I'll put a link in the show notes. I've got a little button that I use all the time. It's called Format Not Zero. I wish there was a built-in Excel one. Equals there is there, but not equal to isn't. You have to get into the weeds underneath the buttons. So Format Not Zero, beautiful, okay? 3 items missing. So that's great. And you can do
I wish I used anything enough that I could make buttons for it, but I digress.
the same thing for work order. I could do manager and equals X lookup this value. You get the idea, comma, in this table, Control spacebar, comma, bring back whatever's in this table, comma. But if it's missing, okay, I'm going to put the letter M there for a second, right? And rather than the letter M, again, I'm just going to refer to, double click on that, click on the word missing, F4 to lock it in. Okay, so if there is a new work order, A, it just says missing, and you do the same.
If I look confused, it's because I'm waiting for the dynamic array part of it, because, I mean, the reason why it spilled to all the rows is because it's a calculated column, so I feel like I'm missing something.
Sort of thing with a count, okay? You could even copy and paste it across and then change the reference. Get the idea. Right, well, what I like to do is this, okay? They're missing, so what should you do? Well, I give a little hyperlink now to the end user, or to whoever's taken over this report. I build this stuff for other people a lot, but for me as well, it'd be quite handy if I had a little hyperlink to jump me to the rate table, because that rate table could be on 6 pages in somewhere. So use the hyperlink function, so equals hyperlink, and this is the way I do this to save sort of clicks. You actually have to write double quote hash, but I don't do that yet. I go and click on the column of the table where the rows are, okay? Do a little comma, and then say jump to rows, okay? And this causes a little error because it's trying to spill down the whole table. And it's this bit that you then put a little, okay, maybe put a few spaces in here. You've got to put the hash at the start, okay? And then you've got to put a little double quotes. Oops.
Oh. For me watching the video back later, the ability to spill makes it a dynamic array function. Pop off. But yes, if it had multiple rows. Third argument is a 2D array range. That makes sense. I think I'm so indoctrinated. That is where I'm really gonna have to dissect my brain. To like a lot of the times when your muscle memory always is like used to like the old days of like index matches of having something very specific it's looking for. I think I need to snap out and see some examples of dynamic arrays spilling, or like XLOOKUP spilling, so that I actually like see it, believe it. But yeah, I need to knock it off. That's for sure. Nothing find random block of data. Harry will probably know how to generate one though. A lot of the times when, especially when I get into like next week or like the week 2s of the months, and like I'm building my own tools, I'm probably gonna want to randomize the data that I have or create data from scratch. I can create some like nonsense data here, but anyways, okay.
You've got to put a little double quotes in there, a little bit fiddly, and you are then hard coding in essentially this.
Eric, thank you so much for coming. We were just chit-chatting about OA Robot, and I need to get some random data in here.
Column. So there are potentially other ways of doing that, but just for demo purposes, click on that.
I'm stealing it. Oh, come in. Come in. What is going on? Am I dumb? Oh, you guys will get a big kick out of this. I was up all night working on something, and I was like, why is this not calculating? Because my calculations were off. Am I being dumb? Right? Do I have that? Yes, I do. Okay. Brilliant. I'm going to do OpenAI check commands with perfect. Okay, perfect. Ah, love. Okay. I'm just gonna fiddle around with some stuff. I am excited about this hyperlink thing, though. I think that might be helpful. While you're in the calc setting, yes, what would you like me to look at? I finally got the partial manual situation happening. If I feel like as soon as we left the conference, I just spotted I have, oh, you have the compatibility versions now. Very cool. I have the partial, which more than I was thinking. And I have like the focus cell. Like as soon as at the conference, I didn't have any of that. And then as soon as I left, it all snapped in. I'm like, is the FBI watching me? Cap time. Cap time. Also, I am a bit embarrassed to admit, I just found out that Control-Shift-B is Pace's values. I've been doing a lot of mouse activity, so it's okay. We all learn here. Separately, I have everyone's goals in the sheet, but if you want to drop what goal you're working on this month, and technically, okay, I'm very entertaining, obviously, but this is also a designated time if you guys want to designate towards learning your goals this month. So you don't have to spend an hour watching me fiddle through mine. You're very much welcome to, and I love that you're all here. But this is also a shared time for you to be able to invest in your goals as well. So names, name, city, blue, ID, runner, badge, Amber, Liana, Jack, Jody, Lily, Eric, just popping off robot, my brain, Abby, Laura. We don't need runner badge. Let's do city. No, I haven't shared the goals yet. I was going to do that in the last 10 minutes of the housekeeping kind of that part. Feeling an unpivot coming. Oh, brilliant. I've been really popping off with some Power Query this, in the last 24 hours, especially. I feel like watching Melissa's like presentation at the conference, like lit a whole new light. Like my whole soul set on fire. I was like, life could be easier. And like Power Query is already like brilliantly easy. Melbourne. I'm not spelling anything right. But yeah, so I was condensing all of my very messy Power Queries last night, and I've never felt more victorious about myself. Okay, I need to keep watching Win. I'm getting ahead of myself.
All right, so that's pretty nice.
Okay, I'm watching back the hyperlink
So
business. What's hyperlink? I feel like that's just something that everyone else kind of knew about that missed me. I have ideas about hyperlink. I don't think that was the point of the video I'm watching right now. However, with hyperlink, especially being able to click in and find, like, I wonder if you can do like a hyperlink and the location is like the matched row of something. And yes, I should name these, but we'll get there. text URL into a clickable link cell. Ah. Damn. I felt like I was onto
Extra
something.
ways of doing
I
that, but,
wasn't.
just for demo purposes. Click on that, jumps you there. All right, so that's pretty nice. Okay, I thought there must be a better way of doing this sort of reference rather than hard coding it in. So a potential solution is this. You could go equals cell and then do the address option, okay, and go and refer to the column roles. Okay, so that's the address, and you can hyperlink to that, which makes the formula look a bit, so you've got to put the hash in there, and you can do an ampersand. It makes the formula look a bit ugly, but it's dynamic, and if somebody changes the table name, the formula won't break. Jump to roles. That's probably a better, actually that's probably a better way. Jump to roles, click on it, and it doesn't matter if this heading gets changed to role, okay? This hyperlink still works, beautiful, whereas this one will fail because we hard-coded in.
Yes, Lily, that's exactly what I was thinking, is because a lot of the times we want to go find like we want to be able to click on like a helper ID for a certain item that's got bad accuracy or something, so that you can click and immediately go to where you need to go make the adjustment in the forecast, and that would be wicked once I figured out. Now that I know hyperlink exists, delish. Moving on.
Roles.
I'm still, like, hyperlink is not a dynamic array function, though.
Anyway.
Oh, I think he's just doing lookup tables. I'm being silly.
Okay, and then check this out. One more thing. I want to be able to go to here and actually show a list of the missing roles. So new roles, okay, we're going to use the filter function, which is a great function. So I want to filter this list where, comma, this column, the rate, equals this cell, and then press F4 to lock that in. Okay, F4, close the bracket. There we go. There's the list of the missing items. All right. Let's get rid of any, if there were any duplicates, we could get rid of those. So let me just change this to, let me change this one to new with the lowercase. So if we go back here, look, new and new, I don't want both of them. So we could just wrap that in a unique. Okay, unique. I'll put a few spaces in my formula as well, just to make it nice and easier to read. And you could even wrap that in a sort to get it to sort in the right order. Okay, but don't leave it there, don't leave it there. Check this out. What if there's no missing roles? Okay, so let me just go back. I'll actually refresh the Power Query. Okay, right click, refresh.
Harry, by internal web pages, are you talking about like a link to a file within your domain, or are you talking about like an actual like internet www dot where, like, my brain has completely left the station on that one. I was like halfway through the sentence, and then my brain went, we're done.
It's updated. There we go. Go back to our list. Calc, because there's nothing to filter. But the filter argument has an option in it. So I just do the comma, okay, inside the filter function. Okay, if empty is the argument. So if it's empty, I want to put, I'm going to put a little emoji in there with a Windows key full stop, and look at the tick. Okay, I'm just going to put a tick and say all roles present. Okay, double quotes. Right, so that's the option. So it just shows that if there's no missing roles. And as soon as there's a missing role, let me go in here and say new one or whatever it is. This then lists the new one. And I can just copy and paste that. That's pretty cool.
Brilliant. Side note, for anyone who's very familiar with dynamic arrays, what is your most used dynamic array, or like function, or like how frequently do you use them? What do you like? What do you not like? Pros and woes. Me fears, and I have been trying to mess around more with like the dynamic arrays. A lot of the time, the data that I'm working with needs some form of manipulation, or how to describe. I fear the spill, and a lot of the time, the data that I'm working with has, obviously, it's very dynamic in its ways, but like in terms of the number of rows or the number of columns, it makes formatting any of the pages they're on damn near impossible, because you have to leave so much space for heaven and earth to happen. And obviously, if you understand the parameters of your data well, then you would know how many rows you really need. But it feels outrageous to be like, oh, at max we could have 100 rows. Ooh, what's take? I'm gonna go Google that one. Take dynamic array function Excel. Mm, that makes sense. Set dates for headers. Filter and pivot by, absolutely. Sequence I like, but I have to really, because it's not muscle memory, every time which I'm so sorry that the right side of my screen is chaos. With any of these, I feel like XLOOKUP I could do in my sleep, like every section of it, but sequence or like rows, columns, start and step, then my brain, like I can't remember if it's like looking for, you know, when you're using like a sum ifs, for instance, like, okay. Oh goodness. This is a rough example, but like sum ifs, the name is Amber. Do I find that? And you see how in this, the criteria is just looking for that specific thing. But if you're in like an if statement, like cell equals Amber. Yes. Well, we can just let it be true and false. Oh, come on. So for instance, whenever we get to like the sections about like when we get to like criteria functions, I fear like, for instance, let's say with the we're just gonna chit chat for a sec. But when it gets to the criteria and I'm in the middle of like Excel battle, whatever, I always have to Google what the criteria like syntax is, especially for like does not equal cell reference. Like, does it need the little at? Does it need all the like quotations and all of that stuff? So I fear if I ever was to get like very good at, you know, competitive Excel, fat chance. But on the off chance, I would be up there and be like, can I Google? Honestly, do you guys know if Googling is allowed at when you make it that high? I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty quick Googler. I digress. We're off topic. Oh, we got stuff in the chat. Filter pivot by love. Hyperlinked addresses in the active workbook preceding the address. Ooh, brilliant. Ignore anything I say below. Johnny has my phone. Brilliant. Reformatting spill clashes the number of rows, changes the model. I edit. Try to make things only spill consistent direction. Yes. Okay. I agree. That is like, I would say, systemic best practice. Anything allowed, speed is the issue. Yes. Googling is allowed, but if you need to, you're going to get eliminated. You know what? When you're right, guys. But who knows? Maybe. I mean, honestly, with especially the OA robot and all these lets and lambdas and stuff, I'm just trying to beat myself. I no longer feel guilt about Googling now. It's always the criteria on any kind of logical, like most of them I've got, like the, you know, most of the text, most of the numbers, but def allowed. It's the fastest way to write certain formulas sometimes too. Thank you. I agree. But yes, in terms of, I am going to be using dynamic arrays, or I believe we have been using dynamic arrays. It's kind of like retraining the brain of what I used to do with pivot tables. I can now do very consistently with dynamic arrays, for instance. And next week I'll be bringing like an actual data set to show and tell that way. But for instance, I used to have to, because I couldn't trust, I mean, AI is allowed, which feels more than Google. You're right. Back in, I don't know, that would have been 2018, it would have been 2020 to 2022-ish. I had to make like a bazillion pivot tables because that's all people knew how to use. And also I didn't know dynamic arrays existed back then. But just being able to have like the spill list of all of that stuff is critical. And you can always throw a filter on top of it. I just always get nervous. I don't think I've completed one full thought today, but that's okay. Ooh. So the group by and pivot by has so many. Let me look. Honestly, let's just download like a big old data set. Free data set download. What could go wrong? Don't make me log in. Uh-oh. That's not what I wanted. I just want to open it. Let's go. I don't think this is a good practice either. Who else about their history feels fair? Oh. Thank you, Eric. That's smart. Ooh, Kaggle. Of course. That was a good idea. Boston house price is brilliant. Are you guys all familiar with Kaggle? I have never heard of this before, which is the whole point of the learning month. Okay, we've got about 10 more minutes for me to become a dynamic array master. And honestly, I don't want to email. Oh, why are we doing this? Just gonna throw a bunch of numbers at the end. Let's go. Okay. Let's go. Let the Kagglebot. Okay, here we go. We're in the promised land. Oh, it's like straight up a CSV. Don't worry, I was made for this. Maybe. This is where we find out that Amber is full shit. That's okay, though. I knew that wasn't going to work. Oh yeah, there was no chance I was reading the terms and conditions. I probably just sold my kidney on the internet, and that's okay. Does all of the data come in? Kind of busted. It's kind of shitty of me to say. Okay, we're just gonna download it. Let's try a different one. I think executive action is I'm going to hop to the dynamic arrays workbook because Giles has already done such a good job, Giles and Miles, obviously, of giving me this workbook. So I'm just going to do it. And I think there's a link you can sign up for Full Stack Modeler. I think it's pretty wicked, especially for noobs like me, because they get pretty intense later on. But for now, I'm good with this. Not going to do. I also don't believe in reading, so we're just going to whack at it and see what happens. Why learn when you can just do? Okay. Unique list of marshals using the unique function. I wonder if he's got these as named ranges. Nope, don't care. Brilliant. Yeah, full stack, I after the conference when we got access to it, I have been obsessed. I've been trying to do like a little bit every day. As in every day, I mean like every 3 to 7 days. But list of species. Brilliant. Because they break down like, I don't know, these concepts pretty well in digestible chunks. But sometimes you think like there's a good amount of times that I'll be working through like a pretty easy concept and be like, who cares about this? And then I will, let me close this out. I wonder if I should do full screen, if you guys can see all of that. Oh, gee. Nope, that's aggressive. Let's do, please hold while I sort out my monitor. Okay. OBS is a hell of software once you figure out how to use it. Okay, cool. But yes, when I'm like going through the full stack modeler like applications, like sometimes like I didn't realize that I'm really bad at some product, even though that's one of the more basic, actually one of the most basic ones. And there was, they sprinkle in little like dynamic references as you go, which I think is smart to do because it kind of like warms you up to the idea of it before you go full into the deep end. And really, by me focusing in dynamic arrays this month, this is setting me up for the chaos that's coming my way in the future months because I got to work myself up to the LUTs and the lambdas and the Python and the OA robot and all that stuff because it's going to be a lot. Okay, I'm focusing. When you use it unique, do you ever use the exactly once section of it or not so much? Let me know. And see what I'm saying? Like they're giving you the uniques, but then they're also mentioning like the hashtags along the way. If you read, you actually learn a lot. Crazy idea, guys. Okay, we got it right. Brilliant. Sort, 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 sort. Let me zoom in. Same thing with the sorting is sometimes like there's with the pivot by what I noticed with the pivot by what I noticed when I was going through is that, and let me pull it out. So when you get like, because pivot by has so many criteria, that I think my favorite way that I've learned it is to try and like modernize the pivot tables I'm working with. However, plot hole. Okay, we're gonna get one-on-one here. Okay, so I was working on a tool, and Lily, if you're still here, I'm so sorry that I'm about to drag you, but well, drag myself from 3 months ago. So creating this tool, I was trying to modernize from pivot tables to pivot by, and it was all well and good. I rebuilt it. It was fantastic. The thing is, I couldn't, when I did that transition, it exposed a deeper problem. So a lot of the times people will talk about volatile functions causing issues for like computational efficiency. So like if you have equals rand, it's going to recalculate every time you touch that sheet or go to a new cell. A sleeper is the today function. And so I'd created a date table basically saying like the months and the days and the weeks and the whatever. And I said, if this month greater than today or less than today equals like current month, rolling months, that kind of stuff, which is important, but you can do that in Power Query, so it only processes once whenever you refresh it, not every single time. So in the process of rebuilding these PowerPoint or Power pivot tables into a pivot by, it exacerbated the problem, which is good. It exposed a problem that I needed to solve. However, hates the process. It exacerbated that the volatile function. So every time that it would recalculate the whole pivot by, which I don't know, maybe I just really did it wrong, but I digress. If we're going to mess around pivot bys, don't have any volatile functions in the background. I digress. We're past it. We're better now. Okay. Still going. We've got, okay. Oh, I've completely set my timer wrong. Okay. Actually, 2 minutes left because I didn't know how to count time. So, cool thing with the community, there's a few things. So I received 14 submissions. So now we're doing a little bit more housekeeping. I think I'm going to need a little bit more than an hour to get through this dynamic arrays function, but we'll report back next week with what we're going to do. But I created a planner file where essentially, oh, let me get out of here. Let me pull this up. So essentially, let me share my screen again. Wrong one. Planner. Okay, cool thing that's happening in here. Let me move this down as well. Okay, cool. So if you see your name up there, thank you so much for coming. So as we move through the weeks, I've already received incredible amounts of goals that are happening. And like the goals that are happening in the community aren't just Excel and tech. There are a lot of Excel and tech, which I'm really excited to hear, like see how people are progressing. But there's also things like prioritizing gym and healthy mindset, or healthy meals and meditation, learning chess. I'm actually so excited for you, Liana, on the chess month, because I did a chess month last January. And what I realized is that I lack patience and skill, which is two things you need a lot of in chess. So I'm very excited for you. But there's others that are doing kind of like some that are more focused in, life. There's some PowerPoint focus, which I love. Tableau. We've got the 100 push-ups challenge. I mean, also our sweetie girl Lily, who's been helping me a lot with Officer Hours with Amber, who I unfortunately found out yesterday from her. I've been going around. Let's talk one-on-one again. I was going around and I was like, ooh, Office Hours with Amber, OOWA. So cute. Like, ooh, So Lily takes me by the shoulders yesterday and she goes, where's the second O in OOWA coming from? And I go, hours. She's like, brother, what? It starts with an H. So I've been talking so confidently about OOWA for the last month for sure, but 2 years in the making. And so to find out that I'm just illiterate, mind-boggling. I digress. Okay, back on track. But spread the word. Amber's actually illiterate, which is one of the reasons why I know that there's no chance for me in this Excel competition, because reading under pressure ain't gonna happen. Anyways, so I'm excited that people are submitting their stuff. And then separately, I'll be sending out a monthly recap. And it'll be kind of like a check-in where you get to kind of check in with yourself, do a little insights. What did you learn this month? What did you learn about yourself, etc., pros and woes. And then it'll ask you for vibes. And so here you can put in the vibes. And then at the end of the year or quarterly or something, I'm going to try and do some sort of like year in review wrapped situation, like who has the most consistent vibe, who has the most volatile vibes. I don't know. We're going to kind of play around with it later. But I digress. I'm really excited about this. Hey, the illiterate folks, we rise at dawn. Okay, I digress. Few things. A little housekeeping. Next week, I'll be on again at 7 p.m., hopefully with some less laggy equipment, a better mic, and some focus. I get too excited about the chat. That's the problem, is I need to like almost like blinder myself and like not look, because you guys are too interesting and I can't handle it. Also, next week I'm working on a pricing breakouts tool, and I want to do using dynamic arrays and dynamic references for like data validation to be able to make like a nested like supplier choice quoting program. I've got ideas, but on that, I still need to find my vibes are always a roller coaster. So I feel that very specifically. Second is the Discord. Let me find that. So if you're joining as one of my personal friends, you guys are all personal friends, obviously. But if you're a little less familiar with the Excel community, it's called Excelopolis, but it's such a wonderful place. Let me see if I can post that in the chat, if that works. It's the invite to the Discord. It's a wonderful place to, one, get to see a lot of other Excel stuff. The Excel Ladies group is so much fun. But Office Hours with Amber is a subsection there where I encourage people to post about their goals, if they have cool insights throughout the month, if you want to ask questions, kind of like I personally just weaponized all of you for my own personal gain in this hour. So I hope that you all use the Discord as your own personal gain to ask questions, because everyone in there is so giving with their time and energy. So I digress, but I'm really excited to kind of check back in. There's also a little Spotify link. I don't know if I can stream music, but I also am never going to monetize the stream, so who cares? So very much potential. And then also another cool thing is that I've got the ADHD toolbox. So I have an ADHD coach. Her name's Lynn. She's wonderful, and she's, I think, certified in coaching or something. Who could be sure? She's great. But I'm going to get her to join the channel so that if we have, and if anyone wants to be connected with professional resources, tools, or wants to do like an evaluation, we work on making ADHD tools in Excel together. So there's like a values assessment, a needs assessment that unlocked a huge subsect of my brain. So all I'm saying is there's a lot of cool stuff coming to the Discord once I learn more how to use it. Thank you, Jack and Liana, so much for guiding the way. But I'm going to go hang out in the chit chat chamber for a little bit. But obviously, thank you guys so much for chumming, and hopefully next